Good evening, boys, and welcome to the Week 9/10 podcast here. I apologize for having a podcast last week. Unfortunately, my car got hit. Pretty much the pride and joy of my life, so I've been driving like a friggin' plug right now with a busted-ass brake light and the trunk that won't even shut right now, so times are rough, but apologies for having a podcast here. We have a good one coming up. We have the greatest line painter ever, Ben Matta, joining us here very shortly. Here, I'll actually get him on the line here in about 2 minutes. We'll start with this matchup here. Matter defeated Shitty Farm Team 2 has been accidentally winning. Granted, he played Carmen, but this name change, I think he's won like the last 4 out of 6 or something. I could be wrong there, but Tom Brady's been a huge hit for Shitty Farm Team 2. So without further ado, let's get the our own line painter on the road here and see what Matter's up to. See what he thinks of his chances of if he thinks he's an outside shot making a playoffs here. See how Tina's doing. We can check in on Tina as well. He loves her, I think. And so we'll get Matter on the phone here. He's actually driving home from work. I think he worked like a 28-hour workday or some shit. So he can't FaceTime. Casey will be joining shortly too, so we got a nice little doubleheader here.
Hello.
Hey, Matter.
What's up, Robbie?
Hey, welcome to the podcast here. We haven't heard from you this season. How are things?
Good. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
No problem. I mean, Shitty Farm Team 2 has been kind of, I want to say flying under the radar, but they've been, they're kind of like the, how can I word it? Like the Columbus Blue Jackets of the league, where they're not that good, but they still can surprise some teams every once in a while. I see Tom Brady's been carrying you. You want to elaborate on your roster here?
No, not really. Right now we're just fighting to not be get completely humiliated in this league is how it's going. I know most of my guys now actually, which is good. Tom Brady's been carrying the team. Marshawn Lynch has been pretty good when he's been healthy. Jeremy Hill's been consistently inconsistent. My receiving core is piss poor at best. I have a pretty core. That's not a good strength to have on a team. Tight end. I kind of have 2 kickers on my fucking roster, so that's good. The Jets defense has been up and down. What else is going on with my team?
Talk about Peyton Manning.
Yeah. Talk about Peyton Manning?
Yeah.
Oh, that was amazing. So I was watching. I didn't get to watch that game. I didn't even have that game on. I don't think it was broadcasting here, but I kept giving updates, and I said at one point I think what did he end 5 for 30.
I don't mean talk about his actual performance. I mean what's it like owning? What's it like owning Peyton Manning on your fantasy team?
What's it like?
Yeah.
I don't know. I had him last year, and he was good. And then this year, I think I only played him 1 game, and I was going to use him as trade bait, but I think that's all gone out the window at this point.
Yeah, shake that one off. Now, take me through life right now, Matter. Or when do you start unemployment?
It's not going to be for a while. Yeah, we're still working a lot. We slowed down significantly because it gets dark so much earlier. But we're still pretty busy. I think after the next couple of weeks here, we're going to start to slow down a good bit, and then we'll basically be working a more normal schedule for a while, and then probably about Christmas time is whenever we get out and just work on 2 days a week.
Define normal schedule.
Probably around 50 hours a week or so.
Instead of like 180?
Whatever was bad for working, it's only 80 hours a week, something like that. it's nothing like this Franker guys, I understand, but it still sucks pretty bad. Right now we're down to around like 65. I don't know if we're leaving, but bad weeks are probably around like 70 or so.
My God, Matter. Now, are you gonna be around Thanksgiving break?
Thanksgiving break. We found something today. I'm not sure what. I will definitely have Thanksgiving Day off. Probably the day after. The weekend is up in the air. If there's any kind of like jobs that need to be done, we'll have to do them on the weekend. And then that Monday after, I'll be off because we're in like a laborers union, and I guess they all like to kill deer and shit. So we get the first day of hunting season off to go kill animals.
There you go, dude. Now, how's Tina?
Tina's good. She's doing really good. She wants to get out of the south side really bad, so we've been looking at houses and stuff.
It's quite the commitment, Matter.
We have an offer in the house right now. Actually, we're kind of dancing around with it's a bank-owned property. We're dancing around with them.
Where's it at?
It's in Bethel Park. It's a real nice neighborhood. The house is a relatively small home, but it's an okay size. It has a huge yard. It's pretty nice. The neighborhood's fantastic too. And I just heard that Trevor and Lindsay bought a house, so I want to throw congratulations out to those two. That's pretty cool.
That's actually news to me. Where'd they buy a house at?
Bethel Park also, and I haven't seen it. Mike saw it. He said they're living in the Taj Mahal apparently, so I guess they're doing okay. I guess the banking industry is okay to Hollywood right now.
I mean, typically is. Yeah, I'm falling out of the loop here out in Philly. This is a lot of big news with some of the people in this league here, and I gotta be better. We're staying up to date on some of your lives here. So congrats to all the future homeowners in the league.
Well, that's what happens whenever you've been nickel and diming your friends for the last 20 years. You save up and you buy a nice house.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So, congrats to Trevor. Any final thoughts on the rest of the fantasy season or with just life in general?
No, not really. Actually, I do have. Can we talk strategy on the show here? Is that allowed?
I don't see why not.
So I was kind of thinking about this. The championship weekend, which I personally don't have to worry about this. I understand, but the championship weekend is it in week 17 of the season?
No. Let me double check that here while just to clarify everything. I believe I set it up for week 16. It's over. Let me double check though. So I think I have week 14 playoff start, and it's 1 week. Week 14, 15, championship 16.
So that's still a gray area with some teams who are doing really well might potentially, play some guys sparingly. That's I was wondering, if you have one of those heavy hitters on your team, like for me, if it was week 17, which it's not what you just said, but something like that, would it almost be beneficial to dump your superstar players like that who aren't going to play for someone else like I don't know who's going to be maybe fighting for a playoff spot come week 16.
No, if I know there's some players you're not able to drop. They have like a no drop list like ESPN on.
Yeah, you can trade, right?
Trade deadline ends. Trade deadline ends November 26th.
So you got to make decisions quick if that's.
Yeah, we're coming. I believe it's actually Thanksgiving Day, if I'm not mistaken.
Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, so we might have some text messages during Thanksgiving meals around the league here. So just a little FYI.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's always a busy time for the GMs.
Absolutely. But thanks for tuning in, Matter. Maybe you'll be the top point getter on this show, and hope to have you back on the podcast.
All right, thanks, Robbie. I appreciate it, and good luck to you and to the rest of the guys going forward.
Thanks, Matter. Take care.
Bye.
That's Ben Matta. We'll thank him for tuning in the podcast for the first time this season. Shitty Farm Team 2. Nice thing about the league this season is there's a third place game, so not saying Matter's not going to make the championship or anything, but for the teams that lose in the semifinals of the playoffs, you still have the third place game where you win $100. So something to keep in mind here as we continue. Looking back at the matchups here, we'll move on to bye week Blues versus Jordan here. Bye week Blues won by a score of 125.2 to 119.4. Kendrick West went off. I recently traded Jared, that son of a bitch, and I got to give credit where credit was due. He gave me actually a good offer because Andrew Luck went down, and I accepted it. Oh well, it's the breaks. So I'm not really going to elaborate too much on Jordan's team, just because he's out of the playoff picture. Sorry, Carmen. That's the only shout I'm giving you as well, since you're out of the playoff picture as well. Same with Team Vito. No love for you guys as well. Looking at Mike's roster here, Mike did beat the Vito boys to score 120.8 to 110.7. Julian Edelman went down. That's a big hit for fantasy owners. And for how many receptions you get, that could be catastrophic for Mike coming the home playoff stretch here. So we'll see how it pans out. But then again, Jeremy Langford's been really hot for the Bears replacing Matt Forte. So Mike's quietly flying under the radar here. I know, looking at his roster here, he has a few guys who can make a push towards the championship. So looking at the standings here, I mean to get sidetracked here, because currently the two people who would get a bye would be Jared and myself. It will currently be George versus Max and Mike versus Rutschka in the first round of the playoffs. And right on the fence, sitting at 5-5, are Casey and Trevor. And Rutschka and Max only have one game. They only have one game in hand. And Casey actually has more points scored than both Rutsch and Max. So he could easily jump into one of these two playoff spots, as could Trevor. Matter has an outside shot if he keeps getting these wins, these backdoor wins. Look at the next matchup here. We'll look at we'll look at mine. I played Max, and Max unfortunately is catching a little bit of the injury bug here. Carlos Hyde's down. If I'm not mistaken, I think Matt Ryan was on a bye. Yeah, because I had Freeman out, so I can't really give too much sympathy there. But I defeated Max by a score of 137.8 to 93.4. Adrian Peterson had 200 yards. My running backs are just deadly right now with the Peterson-Freeman combo. And Brandon Cooks had a big game as well. So I'm making a push here, coming down the home stretch for that $800 bid, potentially. Look at the next matchup here. We'll take a look at the top point getter. Actually, we'll hold off. We'll let Casey talk about it here in a minute once I get him on the podcast here. Next matchup here would be Trevor versus Rush. And Trevor, see, he got a win, but like whenever you don't break 100 points, it's not really the greatest feeling kind of wins. But a win's a win. Lamar Miller had a good game at 21.3. Antonio Andrews got him 0.8. Wow. I'm not too sure what happened there. Didn't really pay much attention to the Titan game. Actually, that's not true at all. I did pay attention. I just didn't pay attention to individual stats. Looking at Rutschka's matchup, Rutschka just got I don't know what the hell happened here with Matt. I don't know why he left Matt Forte in. So, Rutsch will shake that one off. And Trevor sits at 5-5, while Rutsch is now at 6-4. So, move on to the next matchup here. We got George versus Casey here. And Casey, I'd like to send a public apology out to Casey here. Fortunately, I couldn't give him the podcast last week. Luckily, he was a top point getter again this week. So, Casey is probably having one of the better second halves of the fantasy season here. Todd Gurley has been going off. Antonio Brown's just a freak. He got it. I mean, it was helpful having Ben Roethlisberger miraculously come back. So that definitely helps Antonio Brown's stock. He defeated George, and that's a big win for Casey because George is one of the power. I actually remember George saying, quote unquote, on the podcast earlier today, saying Casey's his rival, but he always beats him. So had to eat his words there a little bit. But we'll get Casey on the podcast here. We'll FaceTime him. I'm kind of curious to see if he's in my old room right now. For those of you guys who don't know, never moved to Philly. Casey actually took over my spot in my old apartment with Mike and Jordan, so he is in my old room. It's a lot of PS4 and a lot of playing NHL. So we'll get Casey on my iPad here. Having a little bit of trouble here getting it on the iPad here, so guess I'll just FaceTime him on my phone. It's a little bit of a nonchalant way, but fuck it. As you guys see, I'm watching the Penguins and they're down 1-0. I believe my roommate's actually coming to the door right now with his girlfriend, so we'll make it awkward here in a second. Well, Casey.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Not too much. You in my old room there.
No, this is Jordan's room, the living room.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there.
What's up?
Not much, man. Let's just start off with your season here. You've had a good last 2 weeks here. Top point getter back-to-back weeks. Take me through some of your success here.
Well, I guess it helps when Ben Roethlisberger comes back with Antonio Brown for sure. Todd Gurley is doing well for me too. So, things are looking up for me. Got a couple buys this week. Antonio Brown's down this week, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, that's a big loss for sure. So, I was just talking. I think you might be the one team that's having one of the better second halves of the fantasy season here. Now, you're right on the fence of a playoff spot. Well, I was just figuring out the tiebreaker here, and you have more points than both the 5 and 6 seed here. So, any thoughts on where? First of all, what do you think of the chances of you making a playoff spot?
Honestly, I didn't know I was on the brink like that, so I had no idea. Obviously, I did get in the playoffs. I think my team's starting to peak at the right time, so if I get in there, just gotta have a chance, Rob.
Yeah, like I had your team. I was just eyeing it up, and you got a lot of threats there. So I know with Todd Gurley and Antonio Brown are just two scary human beings on a fantasy team. So.
And Aaron Rodgers has been playing pretty shitty recently, and quite frankly, if he starts picking it up, it could have a nice three-headed monster there.
Yeah, and he's going to pick it up here soon.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah, so take me through life right now. How's the personal training gig? How's the place?
We're making money, Rob. The good news is we live in America where everyone's fat and out of shape, so there's lots of money to be made. Place is good. Apparently, I arranged the bedroom in there a little bit differently than you did, and Mike said I did it in a better way, so you have to take that up with him. But
it is what it is.
Everything's good, Rob. Everything's good. How are things in Philly?
You know what? Other than my car getting hit last week, things aren't that bad. Got a nice apartment here. Making moves, selling penis pumps. Can't complain here. Can't complain. Now, how
many penis pumps have you sold? I'm just curious.
I'm actually doing I sold 11 today.
That's incredible.
I know there's.
I'm going to tell you what, Rob. If you can sell a penis pump, you can sell anything.
Well, here's the thing. I think there's a bit of a disconnect with people with this. It's not a hard sell. Like literally, the doctors are saying, "Hey, you got to get this," and their insurance covers it.
All right. Well,
so as long
I was trying to admire you a little bit, but
don't give me that much credit. It's actually not. It was actually hard of me selling friggin' Schwann's chicken.
Well, hey, that's good, dude. Hey, sitting pretty, that's fine.
Have you guys ate all my ice cream bars I left at the downstairs fridge?
I have not even gone down there, so unless Mike and Jordan ate them, I have no idea.
Well, they're kind of fat asses, so I'm sure they did.
I don't know.
So yeah, I will be home Wednesday. Maybe I'll run into you. Hopefully I do. But
Are you gonna come down here, or what are you gonna do?
I'll make rounds. I'll see wherever everyone is, and I'd like to shake some hands, and maybe we even do a podcast one of these days.
All right, we should actually. I mean, you should just come here, and then me and Mike can sit down and we'll just do it together.
You heard it here, folks. The next podcast will be Wednesday, live from 304 South Braddock Street, Pittsburgh, PA 15221.
We'll have to drink some beers while we're doing it.
We'll have a few beverages here.
Day before Thanksgiving, and biggest drink night here. We got to partake, right?
We'll give the league what they want. Well, Casey, thanks for tuning in. Congrats on winning $50 so far the last 2 weeks, and I hope to have you back.
Yeah. So I guess it's another total loss this season so far.
Right.
I would just like to say it felt really good to beat George. I just want to throw that out there. Made him my bitch, and it felt great.
It's funny. Whenever you watch the podcast, I actually gave a shout out with the shots he fired back in I think the week 1 podcast, saying you're his rival, but he always beats you.
Yeah. He did beat me in the championship. Or did he beat me in the championship? I think he did. I don't remember, but it was either the championship or the semifinals, whatever. I mean, hey.
New season.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully we run into each other in the playoffs. We can sell this like men.
Sounds good, Casey. Well, Casey, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to have you back on the podcast probably next week.
All right, I'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks to Casey for tuning in, and I think I covered every team, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think I did. Just a side note before I put this on YouTube here. Trade deadline is next Thursday, November 26th. So, Jared, the trade deadline is next Thursday, November 26th. A kind of a little funny story. I was actually over Amanda's on, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and I got her older brother went to me. He's like, man, this Jared Cunning will not quit blowing me up about trades, and he's like barely paying attention to the league. So, well, I mean, his record kind of shows for it too. But that concludes the Week 10 podcast here. Best of luck next week. Little side note, I'll be home. Hope to see some of you guys. And best of luck next week.